Okay, I think I've fixed it now. Just checking via the stream if you just want to do a radio check with me as well.
Yep, 1 2 1 2. Radio check, radio check.
Bit of an echo.
I mean, I could hear you, so does that mean it's working?
It does mean it's working, so we'll take this from the top, shall we? Good evening, everybody. We're here for the Race of Champions. What a wonderful night it is going to be tonight. I feel like I've been talking to absolutely nobody for the last minute, but I'm here with, of course, long-term Ruse mod Daniel Hatfield. Hello.
Hey, how you going?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm getting a bit of deja vu right now, but how are you?
Oh, I've been way better. I should be racing tonight, but my back has put paid to that, so I'm joining you in the commentary box.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would have been really nice to have you on circuit for us tonight, but beggars can't be choosers, and instead you're going to be partnering up with me again after, God, how many Super B team commentaries did we do in the end? There were a few.
Way too many, way too many. Probably a good idea that we stopped that. It was not quality at
Yeah.
all. Much
Well,
prefer to be on track, but glad to be commentating with you tonight.
absolutely. What a star-studded lineup we do have, even if we're missing a couple big names. God, it's going to be a lot of fun watching these guys duke it out tonight.
Well, you did hope for a full grid, but unfortunately we've only got the 8. However, I don't think it will matter. With the staggered start, there should be battles all the way through, and we should see those guys catch up to the slower drivers ahead.
Absolutely, and that's what we should see as we're currently looking at Joshua Stewart, Jeesh, our current Div 1 title holder, who of course in his first ever season with RaceOnOz managed to pull off the unthinkable, defeat some aliens and pick up that Div 1 title. He's going to be one to watch coming through the field in that very, very noticeable America livery.
Yes, well, I mean, who doesn't love the American flag, except for some people around the globe that we won't mention?
I can definitely think of some. Alright, we're going to step it back now, of course, and step into what is always a very important part of our Race of Champions stream, and that is the tribute lap. Of course, Steve Goof, our reigning champion, will be completing the tribute lap. As we have Herbie now join us, that's fantastic. Herbie, another one of our season champions, joining us for tonight. Let's quickly get this room reset going, I think. And let's pull Steve on circuit for this tribute lap that I think everybody is looking forward to.
I know I am.
You and I both. As we reset the lobby now. And this is Steve's cue now to hop on circuit, and everybody else can filter into pit lane as this is Steve's time to shine.
Just giving him the go-ahead now.
Yep. And there we see that gorgeous green BRZ pop into pit lane. Of course, not quite the exact same car that we did see Barussi race in. But of course, let's actually get behind that a little bit and why this race is so important to RaceOnOz and the greater community. Hatfield, do you want to shed some light on this and just how long it's been running and just the hype it creates every season?
Well, the Race of Champions has been running since Gran Turismo 6 started, when the game was released, and we had a Gran Turismo 5 league. We quickly switched to Gran Turismo 6, and Bruce won 2 seasons with us before unfortunately passing away. So this race is now held in his honour, and we always have the honour lap since that time in the green BRZ, which he did run in his first season with us.
Yep, absolutely right. And Brucey, of course, a very proud Kiwi. 50 years young, unfortunately, when he left us. Myself never really got the opportunity to race alongside Brucey. He was just a little bit before my time, unfortunately, but the longest impact I've ever seen left on an online racing community was left when he left us, unfortunately. And by the people who knew him well, just one of the most easygoing, funny, and quietly determined guys you are likely to ever see on a virtual racetrack. And losing him from the community was a massive, massive loss, and something that we feel even now, which just makes this tribute lap so, so special.
You've got that right. He will always be missed.
Absolutely, as Steve here putting on a bit of a show in this BRZ. And just a nice little tribute to what was and what will always be as he comes around this final chicane, revamped of course since Bruce would have been going around it in his BRZ, as he pulls here into the front straight in that BRZ and should pull underneath the starting gantry, which will commence our minute silence in the honour of Bruce Hale. that draws to a close our minute silence, and it's always an emotional time. It's so great just to sit here and be able to remember the community and what it is, and just remind you that as much as we're sim racers and we have fun, this is a family first and foremost, and what we've built here at Ruse really does stem from grassroots down and just that community feel, and this is just the perfect reminder of that for me.
Rest in peace, Bruce.
Rest in peace, Brucey. We'll miss you, mate. Okay. I think it's just about race time. Let's set up one more room reset as Steve there. A massive thank you to Steve, and of course this is pretty much the seeing off of Steve's title as everybody else. Actually, Hat, if you wanted to just quickly say that the room is open for practice, and I can now set up our starting grid.
Yep, will do.
Thank you very much. I'll give everyone a little bit of an insight actually into our starting grid for tonight. So on the poll, we're going to have Tolly. I'll run through our division champions and what they're here for a little bit later. But Tolly starting on the front row of the grid with Steve, our reigning champion, alongside him. Evil Moon just in behind. We're going to have the three-way fight of Matthias. Sorry, it was to be a three-way fight. Two-way fight of Matthias and Herbie coming off just behind there, with Herbie starting ahead of Matthias. BT Wong following in behind with Groover, Noodles, and then Jeesh. As that should now be all okay. So we'll just double check if we can get Steve off. Do you want to just get Steve to switch to the Red Bull Junior, if you don't mind, Hat?
That's fine.
Thank you very much. Very helpful to have a room admin in here, I won't lie.
Got to do something with my time, don't I?
It's more helpful than you would ever believe. Normally I'm trying to do all this while I'm running the stream, and it's
He has switched car already.
Quite the mission. Awesome. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone hopping in already as well. Matt, awesome to see you, mate. Savage as well in the chat. And Snorksel, really disappointed not to have you tonight, mate. But of course, the Race of Champion tickets do extend. So you will not be missing out, mate. Hopefully for the next time we can get a full grid, we'll have you out here ASAP. And you fully deserve to be out here, mate. So
I'm
very
sure
soon.
that Bruce would fully understand the heavy drinking that Snorkel has done today.
Yes, 100%. If that's what we're assuming you were doing instead. So
allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. So we'll go with that. I believe we now have Steve in the correct car.
Correct.
All right. I think we're good to go.
Boogity boogity. No, I'm not going to say it. That's
please don't. Please don't. Let's not. Okay. Let's. Hopefully everybody is here.
I've got the fizz in anticipation.
I'm always very keen. Race of Champions is, it brings that hype. It always brings that hype. I've just got one more message to send. Of course, sharing the stream around. People, tell your friends, tell your sim racing communities. This is something that everybody wants to get behind. Of course, the Race of Champions, some massive, massive names. And let's kick it off, I think, right now. Woo, here we go. It's go time. It's been over a year, and we're in. And we are on the grid. Of course, if you haven't seen a Race of Champions before, this is a staggered start. So our guys at the front, the lower div guys, will start well before our aliens at the back, meaning that these guys should be finishing the race at the same time. Lights coming on now. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, all just for Tolly. As he takes off now from the grid, and Tolly, our first startup for the 2024 Race of Champions. Steve Goof now moving away from the line. Blue Moon's going to be the next one away as he gets a good getaway as well. Herbie and Matthias, the next one to wait, who have a 5-second wait now until their staggered time. As they pull away now, BT Wong following them up. And now the trio of Div 1 drivers here, Groover, Noodles and Jeesh. An excruciatingly long wait for these guys as Groover now sets off. Noodles should be in chase very shortly. Of course, this grid just going to be taking so long. Look where they already are. Halfway around the circuit is Tolly, as Noodles and Jeesh are now underway. And all our cars are moving.
The only real 2 cars that are very close at this point being Jono and Herbie, having set off at the same time. Jono
Yeah.
all over the back of Herbie's car.
Oh, yeah, dicing already, these two. They've got to be real careful, of course. The staggered start accounts for a little bit of battling, but not too much. Oh, it's BT Wong there, actually, in the back. Oh, he's gone! Into the wall already goes BT Wong. Oh, and a huge mistake there from the number 88. And hopefully he doesn't impede Groover here. He comes around. Oh, Groover's gone! Oh, and lap 1 of the race. And we've lost 2 massive contenders already.
Yeah, that basically puts paid to them unless the rest of the field ahead has a moment.
Oh, do not want to see that.
He's giving him a push. He's not going for the overtake, knowing that what's happened.
No, we've got Noodles here already making a move on both these guys, and Noodles, the first Div 1 driver to make some moves on these guys. What a massive shame to start the 2024 edition of Race of Champions. Oh, you do not want to see that ever.
Well, it happens. That's part of the racing, unfortunately. All they can do now is put their heads down, see if they can stay with Noodles, and pick up any pieces that might fall their way.
Too right, and I think following Noodles is probably the best option they've got here. Of course, Groover was in Div 1 all season, had some very strong results, and this car was probably quite to his liking. Groover actually quite famously runs in VR, so he's got that full view out of the Red Bull Junior, and something he's really been thriving in.
Something we've missed while that all was happening is that Jono has overtaken Herbie and now has a 1 second gap.
Well, there we go. So the extra practice that Matthias has been able to put in is coming to great use here. Herbie just a second and a half behind, so he's not losing touch as per se, but definitely just falling off the back of him slightly. Of course, a 15-lap race here today, so there's a lot of time to make up ground and lose it as well, but you don't need to get too concerned with where you are this early. You just got to buy a ticket to the final couple of laps. As we saw in last year's edition, it all happens on the final lap.
Well, it's up to the guys to basically run personal best laps every lap to have a hope of winning.
It's definitely what we build the brand off for Race of Champions, and Tolly, someone who in practice actually was impressing everybody, running laps far quicker than we thought he'd be able to, especially given he was in the lowest div this season in the Red Bull Junior, which if you need a little bit of context, the Red Bull Junior was in fact the car we used for our season. We find it easiest just to carry it over straight in for the Race of Champions. Tolly, however, though, winning his championship last season in the Toyota GT1, so a stark difference between this and that.
What was the gap that Tolly had to goof off the line?
It was 4 seconds. So he's
still pretty close. He's made about half a second on that.
There you go, Steve actually going slightly quicker there on that fastest lap. Blue Moon pretty much matching what Steve's done. As Matthias here maybe going to make some inroads on these guys. As he does, well, massively quicker there, Matthias. So a second and a half quicker than everybody ahead of him on that last lap. Herbie
really suffering.
Might have made a mistake, Herbie, actually. Maybe on that lap, just put a foot wrong with something. As Noodles here coming across the line as well. Noodles really looking to get the good times in. It's a 50.6 for Noodles, so that is absolutely on it. Groover with a 51.7 is hanging on for dear life, as Jeesh has made the move on BT Wong already.
Well, it was to be expected if he had that spin and was down with the Division 1 drivers. It wasn't going to be much longer until he was taking up the rear of the field.
It's always really difficult. You're typically going to be eaten alive, especially when these Div 1 guys get to you. They know just how difficult it is to win this race from the back of the grid. Quite famously, in fact, Hatfield, so few Div 1 drivers have ever triumphed in the Race of Champions because of how difficult it is to get through the guys.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the quality of racecraft, isn't it? That it's not so easy to just cut through the field. Speaking of cutting through the field, Jeesh is now in the slipstream of Groover, heading down the back straight.
And Jeesh using every bit of his racecraft here. He's no stranger to coming through fields. He was really strong in the sprint races here earlier in the season as he pulls out of the slipstream now down the inside of Groover. And Groover looks like he's going to make this one easy as Jeesh sweeps on through to take 7th position. And still 6 to go if he wants any chance at triumphing in this great race.
Both cars just cresting 260 kilometers an hour down that straight.
Yeah, very, very quick. These cars, whilst they're absolute grip monsters, they've got a little bit of poke in a straight line and can take a little bit of muscling. Of course, these cars for us running on racing hard tyres, so not exactly the glue monsters that you might expect them to be.
No, they got a little bit of bite to them, especially at the low end on those early gears.
Too true, as it looks like Steve has finally started taking a little bit of a chunk out of Tolly's margin. Pretty much stagnant around 4 seconds now, exactly what the gap was when these cars released.
Yeah, a little bit of to and fro on the gap. It's going to be absolute focus from the both of them. One small error, and yeah, you'll find that gap eaten right up.
100%. As we look as well rearwards of Steve, we've still got Blue Moon there in P3, just under 5 seconds behind in P3. And that gap has actually grown as well, ever so slightly. So just interesting to watch how this ebb and flow is currently working at only lap 4.
Yeah, all the front running guys sort of maintaining gaps, either a little bit quicker, a little bit slower. Of course, we're only on lap 4. The idea being that they'll all be together when we get to the end of the race.
I mean, that's the golden idea. And of course, if you haven't ever seen the 2023 edition of our Race of Champions, it's a fantastic idea to go back and watch it. It is uploaded on my YouTube. You can go back through my channel. Please subscribe if you feel so inclined. I do occasionally stream some RaceOnOz races, which are always amazing to watch. Not that I'm biased or anything. But yeah, fantastic idea to go back. It went down to the wire in an absolute classic in the McLaren GT3, where Steve Goof triumphed over Distinct Andrew. And where else in Australia are you going to be able to hear that?
And what do you reckon that gap was between those two guys over the line?
I think I'm going to leave it up to them to have a look and find out what the gap was. Of course, it is the thumbnail, I believe, so bit of a dead giveaway. But yeah, lots of fun we had that night, didn't we?
So you definitely recommend everyone going back to watch that race that you've now told everyone who the winner was, but that's okay.
Well, I've already told them that the reigning champion, of course, is Steve, so I think I've shot myself in the foot there, haven't I?
Yeah, but some people don't put two and two together, so... But yeah, absolutely, smash that like button.
I feel like I've been undercut a little bit there. As we're on board with Herbie now, as we'll actually go on board, throwing it over that first opening section of corners. Really difficult to get the most out of the car through here. It gets so unweighted, and then you can really chuck it deep into this tunnel through turn 4, heading down towards this blind apex, which the shadows actually hides quite well. And the clip boxes of the cars and the wall don't quite compute as you come in through to start Sector 2, Turn 7 here, through the shadows again towards another short little tunnel as you're throwing it into the left-hander of Turn 8, as he's just bowled a little bit of a wide there. You really want to be trying to skirt up the leaves on the inside with the left-hand side of the car before you shoot onto this really long back straight that has been elongated a fair amount since we last saw this in GT6.
Yeah, I'd say Herbie probably on average about a second and a half, about that, slower than Matthias ahead. So I don't think, unless he finds some pace soon, I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. And he's got Noodles 5 seconds now behind, bearing down on him.
I'm willing to say as well, Matthias has definitely found an extra gear tonight. He is only 14 seconds off the lead and started 18 seconds off the lead, so he's well on track to be in touch with these leaders come the end of the race. Of course, a little bit too early to say exactly how this is going to shape up, but it is looking rather nice at the moment for Matthias.
It's all about that quick consistency. He ran a 51.9, a 51.8, but last lap was a 52.4. So see what he does now over the line. It's another low 52.
Yeah, the times are very important to be watching as Groover, 51.3 his last time out as he's coming around. He's still got Jeesh and Noodles for company in front of him, not too far ahead as well, as he goes faster with a 50.9, so Groover finding time every lap at the moment. But God, look at the times from these guys. Jeesh, quickest time of a 50 flat.
Yeah, unfortunately, even with those times that Groover's setting, it's still half a second slower than the guys ahead. Jeesh now getting very, very close to Noodles. We might see a bit of a battle going on here, unless he decides to try and work with him to catch the guys ahead.
Well, this is the dynamic of Race of Champions that so many people struggle with. Of course, I spoke about the difficulties of winning this race from the back of the grid a little bit earlier. Of course, any race is difficult from the back of the grid. Race of Champions is that much harder. You've got a whole grid of division champions ahead of you, and they are racing for pride and racing for honour and racing for basically the biggest accolade in RaceOnOz. And so coming through the field, especially when you've got guys similar to your pace trying to fight with you, is really difficult of trying to figure out your priorities, figure out your attack plan, and how you're going to move through this field.
Geesh having a cheeky look there, try and fake out Noodles. It hasn't worked this time. The
Noodles
other thing, of course, being that these guys that you're talking about, that are division champions, didn't get there by luck. So they got there with their racecraft.
No, 100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Of course, all these guys are division champions for a reason, each of them winning in separate cars for most of them as well. Tolly, of course, I spoke about winning in the Toyota GT1. Steve Goof claiming his ticket through the reigning champion in a McLaren GT3. We go to Blue Moon here, of course, season 17 of GT Sport. I might need to jog my own memory here, but I actually have a feeling that was an R32 GTR road car that he won his season in. Not sure if you actually remember that, Hat. It was a season 17 GT Sport.
Don't remember at all. Let's just believe you, as Geesh is now right on the back of Noodles, less than 0.1 of a second, and they're both catching Herbie with abundance.
Oh, this is going to be oh so close, these guys. This is 3 cars now coming into turn 4. Oh, is that Noodles poking a nose? He does get it done, and Herbie leaves him a lot of space up the inside and lets them both go, in fact. Holding the inside, though.
Yes, he's sort of broken a little early there, so Geesh has gotten around the outside.
Very tidy move from Geesh. Those guys made very quick work of Herbie. And Herbie surely just hoping to hang on to these guys and pick up the pieces from any trouble they're surely going to cause as they go forward.
That's all that you can do. If you can stay with them and there's some sort of accident ahead, then you might still be within a chance. Although quite unlikely for the 6 drivers ahead to all have problems.
It happens, though. It does happen. Race of Champions, you can never count anybody out as we go back. So, in fact, Evil Moon, Blue Moon, as we know him, won his season in the M3 Sport Evo. So that's how long ago that was. I think that was 2021 he won his season in. So nearly a 4-year wait for him to cash in his Race of Champions ticket and still sitting in P3.
Maybe he had that ticket in a book and put that on the shelf. Forgot about it for a little while. Yeah. But he's here tonight and he's within a shot for the win.
Absolutely, and that's what you want to see. Matthias, of course, we spoke about before, down to 13 seconds now, the gap between him and the leader. And he got his shot through Season 4 of GT7, which was the Suzuki Swift Sport Group 4. Quite an odd combo that we had that season.
That was such a fun little car, especially at Red Bull Short, where the rear decided it would like to step out because the tyres wouldn't warm up. You just had to fang it through those corners and hope that you didn't spin.
It was a strange season to look after the car. The understeer.
Sorry, if you just quickly jump to Geesh, he's gotten by Noodles, but they're still fighting.
Oh, okay. So this definitely changes it up here now. So Noodles still poking the nose on Geesh. These guys at the utmost need to be respectful to each other. We don't want to see any sort of bad driving standards here, especially not tonight in the tribute. But yeah, this changes things a bit. Geesh, with that crazy pace that he's been showing, what does Noodles do to try and capitalise on this? Is there a chance for him to jump?
He's just lost the rear slightly, so he's falling off the back. He's got to hope that the slipstream along the back straight is going to be enough to bring him back up into contention.
And these two guys will be in cahoots as well. Of course, these guys, most of them staying in the Race of Champions party chat, so they'll all be chatting, they'll all be figuring out what works for them best. It's a bit like classic NASCAR when they all used to talk on the proximity chat as Noodles here looks for the outside. Geesh goes defensive, and I'm not sure these guys are going to be holding any punches tonight, despite what I've told them in the driver's briefing. Because look at the time there that Noodles has lost nearly a second already this lap. And Geesh surely bleeding some time as well. Boys, you've still got 20 seconds to find on Tolly and only 7 laps to do it.
Yeah, don't ask me what the maths are on that, but it's not looking positive.
It's pretty line ball, if you ask me. Tolly running a very strong race so far. And his gap to Steve has stayed absolutely bulletproof there, as Steve actually sets his PB of the race by 0.004 of a second.
Yeah, well, both those front 2 drivers are setting lap times occasionally better than each other. So, yeah, like you said, the gap sort of staying around that 4 seconds, maybe 3.5. Not sure Goof has enough in the tank if they both continue at this pace.
No, it's going to be really tight, but of course catching is one thing, passing is another. And honestly, if I had 5 cents for every time I'd heard that, I probably wouldn't be that rich, but it's crazy that I've heard it that many times. as we're still here with Jeesh and Noodles. These guys have been front runners in Div 1 for a very, very long time now. Of course, Jeesh not actually running that many seasons with us, but hopefully we've found a bit of a new staple to the Div 1 field. Noodles, who has won 2 season titles already. I think his title was coming through Season 9 of GT7, which was the... It's escaping me.
Well, while you look for that, I'll run through our gaps. We've got Tolly leading the field with 4.1 seconds to Goof. 3.7 seconds further back is Blue Moon. 4.7 to Matthias. 5 seconds now to Jeesh. Less than 0.3 of a second to Noodles. Groover is 9 seconds back from them. And looks like he's just past Herbie, because Herbie is under half a second and falling away from Groover. And then BT Wong at the rear of the field is a further 11.5 seconds behind. 39 seconds gaps the field.
Thank you very much, Hatfield. So the gap actually overall has still come down despite that earlier mistake there involving BT Wong and Groover. So that's a little bit of a testament to just how hard these guys are pushing there, as Tolly quicker again with a 52.7. Steve not quite able to match the pace with 53.1. Blue Moon behind a 52.2, so starting to really tear chunks out of these guys, as Matthias with a 52.1. Jeesh and Noodles respectively with a 50.2 and a 50.3. The pace is absurd from these guys. And Groover actually must have made a mistake that lap. He's fallen off big time. A 55.4 there from Groover, just as I thought he was hanging on to those other two.
It could have been when he was trying to overtake Herbie.
Yeah, might have been something we've missed there. So maybe a night to forget for Groover. This is turning into a bit of a bloodshed for him. And not really what he wants tonight, with only 6 laps remaining in this race.
Now, he would have just been disappointed lap 1 to come into the tunnel and see a car reversing in front of you. So, big mistake there from BT Wong.
Certainly not ideal, but not something we're going to dwell on, as we have some pretty cracker action going on circuit here, as we might jump on board actually with Jeesh just for a bit of a lap of this circuit. If you haven't seen the Trial Mountain circuit from on board, it is quite a ride and something that I definitely recommend you guys get involved with if you have GT7. If you don't, it is a fantastic track and probably a fan favourite amongst the Ruse community. As we might actually jump, I'll double think this one to Tolly, our current leader. And we'll watch just how he's making his time as he dives now into the final 2 corners. And let's just analyse a little bit of what he's doing here as he squeezes the power out here. Just got to imagine that there's a like an egg underneath your throttle pedal. Don't want to snap out the rear as we set out on lap 11 of 15 for Race of Champions. Let's see what Tolly's doing that's keeping him in front so far as he threads the needle in here to 1 and 2. A very difficult chicane. And over this unweighted kind of off camber on exit turn 3 that leads you into 4. Of course, like I said, bomb it real deep for 4 and hope that the tarmac holds you. Use all the road here exiting. Get back over to the left hand side for 5. Throw it in. Want to be getting that front wheel over to the curb just a little bit wide there for Tolly. Doesn't hurt his lap time too much, but he's 3/10 down on that very good lap that he'd set before. Over here into the tunnel, get over to the left hand side again, much better there, grazing into the leaves and setting yourself up for this very, very long straight. Of course, coming down towards turn 9, this is your time to refresh, it's just your time to rethink, look at your gap behind, look at your gap ahead if you have one, and really just start managing everything in front of you. Take your hands off the wheel if you have one, maybe a hand off the controller and relax before this heavy braking zone now for turn 9. And all that camber, just keeping the cornering speeds really high as you brush up to that Texaco wall there on the outside of 9, up through 10, over into 11 and down into 12, as you can take a lot of the curb on the inside of 12 and it all feeds you down towards 13. Another tricky corner as the rear end really likes to come around in the braking zone here. Ultimately just helps you get your nose in as you turn it back down towards your penultimate corner at 14. Really difficult braking zone. In fact, not many markers to help you out. And Tolly chooses to turn in a little bit early, angle the car really aggressively at the apex, and then you've just got to readjust your cornering speed for 15 out onto the straight. And that is a lap of Trial Mountain. Much of a favourite for you, Hat?
Yeah, it's quite a good track. It flows quite nicely. While you're running through that lap, I was just taking a quick note of some of the gaps, and if things stay at the pace they're at the moment, it looks like Jeesh might not get to Tolly in time. He might have still a second gap, but that last lap pressure might have something to say yet. So we'll have to see how we go. Moons really only brought that gap down from 7 seconds at the start of the commentated lap you did to 6.3. So it's about a 0.7 in a lap, and they've got only 4 to go, and the gap's at 6 plus, so that's still not going to be enough. Jeesh now all over the back of Matthias, heading into the back straight.
He showed the nose big time there to Matthias. Of course, I was talking him up earlier. I thought maybe he was the driver in position to go forward and try and claim this victory. But look at him now. He's got Jeesh for company all over his rear wing and all over the side of him now as Jeesh sweeps around his outside into P4. Is Matthias going to try and argue the point here into turn 9, I beg your pardon, as he doesn't, and Jeesh sweeps around the outside. Into the top 4 goes our current Div 1 champion. And he's going to need to get this done really quick because, like you said, Hatfield, it's going to be very, very close for Tolly. And is the pressure going to get to him late in this race?
Of course, that calculation is with Jeesh not being held up when trying to overtake any of these drivers. He really needs to hope that he catches them in a place that gives him slipstream, so he gets a little bit better of a lap time, and that he can pass them easily to have a hope of winning this race.
That's going to be very, very difficult. Tolly now did a 53 last time out. Let's just check this lap time for Tolly here. And he's responding to the pressure, Tolly, a 52.5. That is a great lap there from him. And he is absolutely trying to put his mark on this race right now.
Yeah, well, Jeesh is at a 50.4, so a little bit slower than what he's used to. That's probably due to having to go a little bit wider during the overtake on Matthias.
Yeah, just slightly compromised his line, and it just gets so close from here. The gaps start going out the window. You've got to start looking at where people are on track. It just becomes far more obvious with that, as Jeesh now is getting oh so close to Blue Moon, and probably in slipstream range.
Well, that's what he needs. He wants to catch him going through the tunnel that we're just about to hit, so that he can get slipstream. He's in the slipstream range now. He's 0.5 of a second. That means he can get this done, and that will help him go faster on this straight as well.
Really strong exit there from Jeesh, and look up ahead, you can see Steve Goof just cresting in the tunnel, and this is all getting very, very real. 6 seconds now is the gap between Jeesh and Tolly, and I don't want to even start to try and predict where this is going to end up. Numbers, like I said, start going out the window because Jeesh is now in P3, and this is when it starts getting very, very real.
Well, Jeesh's gap at the moment, 6.2 seconds to Tolly with 2 laps and the rest of this one to go. He's going to need to make up about 3 seconds a lap to be side by side with him.
And the knuckle down is going to be immense if he wants to get this done. Like you said, nearly 3 seconds a lap. That gap's still coming down though. 5.8 it's down to now. We'll see what he gains here in this final chicane complex. But Jeesh still with 1 car between himself and Tolly, and that is our reigning champion Steve, who is still hanging on to that 4-second gap. And here we go.
Be interesting now. He's in slipstream range already on Goof, but the S's are typically not the easiest place to make a pass without losing any time. Fastest lap of the race by Jeesh there.
49.9. Ridiculous pace by Jeesh. He is on fire and he wants this. He absolutely wants to get it done. And there are 2 people ahead of him who are going to make it difficult for him. Here he is. Here's the catch. Is he going to go for it straight away? He does. Jeesh down the inside. Steve gives him the room. Great racing room there from the reigning champion, and this is it. Jeesh to P2. There is no one now between Jeesh and the lead. There is one person, and his name's Tolly, and he's still there in that gold-plated car, the Alpine Stars sponsored entry. And Tolly, 4 seconds is your gap between Jeesh and Tolly.
3.8 already in the 3.7. It's going to come down very quickly.
And he's going to feel it too. He is absolutely going to feel the pressure of your Div 1 champion raining down on him.
Tolly's last lap was a 52.9, so that's 3 seconds quicker, that lap for Jeesh. And he still has 1.5 to go.
This is going to be so close, I feel, Hat. This is going to be wickedly close. Tolly, 6/10ths down in this lap. So he is on track to run in the 53s. And he's just stepping it sideways to Jeesh as... he's...
Oh, accident in the background. Sorry, Noodles has been put in the wall by Moon, but he's managed to keep it going, and he's pulled the overtake off at the following corner.
So Noodles as well is trying to go with him. 1.4 seconds there between Noodles and the podium. Not that we count podiums, but look at this gap. This is the money shot. This is what we're looking for. Jeesh starting his final lap. Tolly starting his final lap. 3 seconds is the gap. 2.7. Tolly must have made a mistake through the chicane. Is that going to be the difference? Is that going to be what costs him the race of champions? The final lap now we're on, and this gap is shrinking.
2.5 second gap with a lap to go. 50.5 there from Jeesh. Tolly doing a 53.3. So I think both of them feeling a little bit of pressure.
Oh, this is going to have to be the lap of their lives. These guys on the final lap of Race of Champions. Tolly, you can see him now in the background of the shot. So, Jeesh, that's that extra incentive he needs. He's won some big races in his time. He's been a part of some amazing things. Jeesh, of course, was...
corner.
He was one of the drivers. He actually went overseas for Gran Turismo. He's a World Tour driver, is Jeesh, and he's gracing us with his presence. It's a second, Hatfield. He is absolutely on this here, and Tolly's going to need to go defensive when he gets to him.
Tolly just needs to be out of slipstream range along this straight.
Oh, and I think he is.
It looks like he is.
He is. He's actually got the better exit, I think, as Tolly. So Tolly, when he needs to most, is putting the foot down. He's getting the hammer down against the big guns. And this is going to get real dicey in our final sector.
Well, there's no more straights, really, except the run down to the final chicane and the main straight itself to make that pass. Tolly a bit wide there. Less than half a second.
Oh, here we go. It's on now. Jeesh looking for any way he can, but it's one line through here. Tolly, you've got to go defensive. Don't let him through. Don't let him round your outside either. As he's looking, Tolly holds on. This is a big one. This is a great overtaking opportunity. Is he going to dive? He isn't. He holds station, but he runs that wider line. Look at the gap. Look at it go from 4/10ths to 3/10ths. It's going to drop down to 2/10ths into the penultimate corner here. Jeesh, is he going to send it? Oh my God, he's faked him. Tolly, did he go deep? He doesn't. He's still on the line here. Jeesh has got to pull it out here. On the run to the line. This is so close. I can't believe it. Oh, I don't think he's got the run. Jeesh, behind. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, Tolly wins it. Oh, my God. 2 races in a row.
7.
With the most ridiculous gap between first and second. Tolly, our Race of Champions champion. Oh my God, how on earth did we get that for 2 Race of Champions in a row? I don't understand it.
It's... you just must do a very good job with the gaps.
Oh, I'm out of breath.
Just go and take a Ventolin puffer, excuse me.
Oh my God, I think I need more than a Ventolin. Oh, holy... That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, as we've had BT Wong.
Respect there from Jeesh on that final lap. There were a few places I think he probably could have stuck the nose in, but it might not have been the sporting thing to do. I don't know if he could have got the full overlap. Playing it safe to not have any contact, and unfortunately just couldn't get it done over the line. Couldn't really be any closer.
Oh, I couldn't really, could it? I'm saving that replay. That was ridiculous. I hope everyone else does as well as we check out our result and look at that 0.037 between your now champion of champions, Tolly, and our current Div 1 champion, Joshua Struick. Oh, I cannot believe that. Noodles, of course, coming home in P3, 4 seconds adrift. Blue Moon hangs on for P4. Steve Goof P5. Matthias P6. Groover down in P7. Herbie drops to P8. And BT Wong, of course, who made that unfortunate mistake, 38 seconds adrift. So not our closest overall, but oh my gosh, what another photo finish we just had.
I don't know how you do it.
Oh, I don't know how I do it. That's 2 in a row. I didn't think the first one would be that good.
Well done to you, and well done to Tolly.
Oh, and massive congratulations to Tolly. I'll see if I can get him in the booth with us just for a quick little chat. I'm sure he's feeling the emotion right now of what's going on and what's just happened. Yeah, wow, that's one of the... I feel like I'm now going to have to say this every year, but that's one of the Race of Champions of all time. As I think we now have him in. Tolly,
joined the party.
Are you here, mate? Good, mate. Congratulations. Oh my gosh. You and I both. I might just quickly ask the YouTube chat to make sure that we actually have your voice going in it. Um, Definitely want to capture the emotion of what's going on right now because that was bonkers. Oh, um, hang on, Tolly. Don't think we've quite got you on audio. If you just want to check your audio settings, go through Party. If you go to More and then Voice Chat Settings. Oh, is it Voice Chat? Yeah, it'd be Voice Chat Settings. And then share your voice. Make sure it's allow.
Don't. You should have
Okay.
it now.
Yep, should have it now. Just gonna check with the chat again. Matt, Savage, Paul, are we good?
Check 1, 2.
Radio checking now. This is what happens when we don't pay for production or anything. No, still nothing?
I changed the setting. Not sure what
Okay.
else I can do.
I'll give you one more setting to change. If you go to the outside settings themselves and then drop down to captures and broadcast. Oh, are we good? Are we good? Okay, apparently we can hear you now. Do you just want to do a quick 1, 2, 3, Tol?
2.
Okay, I'm pretty confident we're good now. I'll just check in here. Oh, I hate streaming sometimes. I really hate it. Now we've killed this little bit of the high.
Amazing technical difficulty here.
Incredible. Okay, I'm reading the chat now. I think my phone's just delayed, but we're good. Okay, we're gonna go with it. Yes, congratulations, mate. Incredible. Yeah, talk us through it. What were you thinking in those closing laps?
Yeah, thanks, Viper. Well, yeah, it was looking pretty cruisy. Goof was doing a good job of holding everyone up, but as soon as Geesh got off the chain, he was coming in hot. So, yeah, uh, only a hair's breadth in it in the finish. So, yeah, stoked to take the win.
It's yeah, pretty massive. Especially against someone like Jish. I mean, again, I don't know how much people know about some of our Div 1 guys, but Jish in particular got flown to, I believe it was Amsterdam last year, literally to race Gran Turismo. Like he's one of these aliens who is just unbelievable and has been putting in the shift work constantly. I mean, that must feel pretty good to really put your name there and go, yep, I beat one of these guys fair and square.
I'll have to update the LinkedIn profile with that one, but no, yeah, sounds good. And
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
yeah, I just want to say, like, what an event. I haven't been in Ruse long enough to know Bruce personally, but it just shows, what a great community is to put something on like this and pay a little tribute. So what a great bunch, and yeah, here's to Bruce.
Yeah,
Yep.
here's to Bruce.
Here's
We'll
to
send
Bruce.
a photo of that finish to Gran Turismo, and maybe they'll fly you out downstairs.
Beers will be on Tolly next time we're chatting to you. Nah, super super cool, mate. And honestly, so stoked to have you win it. It's always special, I think, and probably more special when we have guys from the community rather than just your Div 1 aliens win it. I mean, the three back-to-back champions we've had now between yourself, Steve, and Easy Prey. I mean, there's no shame in saying you guys aren't aliens. I think that's the perfect part about it is that this event gives back to the community, and it's so fun, so awesome, and it always has the best feedback. So I'm super chuffed to always put this on for you guys. And to get a reward like this with such a finish and such a high is just, it's the cherry on top, honestly.
Yeah, ditto that. I mean, not all of us can spend a lot of time on the sim. So for those of us that have only got a couple of hours on Sunday nights, it's for the Div 2 and Div 3 boys.
And that's just it. All right, I think we will close it off there. That's been another year of crazy action, another year of a stupid gap. I'm going to have to try and one up that again next year, which is, I'm already thinking of how I'm going to do it. So that could be a next year problem for next year Viper. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you Tolly for winning and being a part of it, mate. Incredible. Thank you, of course, to Hatfield for joining me in the comms box and putting up with me screaming and shouting for 30 minutes or so. And
Don't worry, I'll save that race on YouTube and play it every night before I go to bed.
I'm sure that's what you need, isn't it? All right, let's cap it off there. And of course, we shall catch you guys very soon for our next season of Ruse SLS AMG Group 4. Not that it's official, but I mean it is official. So, but yeah, hopefully catch you guys on circuit. And always, yeah, love Ruse, love the community, and we'll chat to you all very soon.